Hello, welcome to our den. Behind me is the piano that serves as my workbench here in the den. It's like my little man cave. And the reason I'm here today is because it's still icky outside. Winter keeps hanging on even though we're into April. It's been snowing virtually every day. Since outside's just a little too miserable, I wanted to do a video inside and show you what I've been doing lately in the area of wire wrap. I got some other things that I'm working on too, developing some different types of copper jewelry, but a copper wire wrap, which I've done before on these videos, but I've been actually putting these together and selling them, and I'm saving up money to get a slab saw. That's going to be exciting because I've got lots of material to cut, and that means more cabochons. But I thought I'd just explain my process and maybe you can do something similar. So here's my basic wire wrapping process. And I originally learned this from Oksana Craft, and I've done a few of my own little tweaks, but for the most part, her basic pattern is what I use. She said it was her favorite pattern, and it's become my favorite pattern with just little tweaks depending on the cabochon I'm using, what I think looks good. And so let me show you what I do.
I've got several cabochons that I've made that I've selected from my collections of cabochons, and as you can see, some of them have a uniform shape and some of them have a more natural shape. And that all depends on what kind of material I'm working with. If I'm able to slab them up, then it makes it really easy to get true ovals or teardrops out of the different material. If they're small pieces and I just want to kind of keep the natural shape, then I will do it that way. What I'll do is I will take the slab, I'll cut it as best I can with a trim saw to the shape, unless it's a natural one like this. And then it's a matter of putting it on a dop stick and taking it over to my flat lap, and then putting a dome on the top. This one was a fairly thin and flat piece of Yadenite, so it stayed pretty thin and flat. This one was a little bit thicker piece of the waterline agate, and so it got a little more of a dome. But after I do that, and I do it just in the rough, then I actually tumble them. And when you tumble them, it gives this really nice all the way around glossy, smooth finish, and it takes all the work out of trying to finish it on the flat lap, which is a lot of work to get all the scratches out. Many times I've gone back and forth trying to get all the scratches out, where tumbling, it does a really good job. Here's a piece of jasper, another piece of jasper that's got some agate in there. I really like this little piece because it's got a little band of agate there. You can kind of see the light coming through. Here's a piece of turritella agate, and basically it's a freshwater turritella style shell, turret style seashell, fossilized and agatized, and they come out. Some are better than others. These are ones that I found. I think this one's probably from Bead Reservoir, North Bead Reservoir. Some obsidian. I'm pretty sure this is from Davis Creek area. And some other agates. So once I've got them, then I got to decide, how am I going to do them? I can wire wrap them. I can put them. I can do some sort of a copper, more of a soldered up embellishment of different kinds. It's fun. I can do all kinds of different things, but most of the ones that people like are the wire wrap, and so I'll show you how I do a basic wire wrap. Now, first job is to decide which one I like, and I was looking at these, and I am down to these three. This one's got some dendrites in it, and it's a translucent agate with a little bit of plume and various other shapes in there. Yeah, and it is pretty clear, as you can see when I shine the light on the back. This one also, this is more of a traditional plume. So that is a seam, and the two sides of agate grew together, and that one's definitely translucent. That one is going to be a bit of a challenge, and I might save that for another time because of the radicals shape and size. So I really thought about this one too, the little piece of obsidian, but I don't know. This doesn't need to go on forever, so I'm down to these two. And I really like them both, but this guy being a little small, I think I might save that. Oh, that is so pretty. I'll save that for later, and I will do this teardrop. A little dendritic plume agate teardrop. And I'm pretty sure this came from probably the North Bead area, because that's where we got a lot of these. Also could be around where we were camping there at Warm Springs Reservoir area. But that's a nice cab, so we'll take that cab, and here's my process. So I'm going to start with 10-inch pieces. It's a medium-sized cabochon of square, 18-gauge square soft copper. Ten inches. We'll take a little piece of flat, half round, I should say, a little piece of half round. And we'll wrap up about, probably 3/8 to half an inch of wrap at the bottom of these. And then, so I need about that much more. I'll wrap it the other way. And you can do this any way and anywhere you want. All right, that's just right. We'll put that one around the back. This will be the back. That one needs a little trim. And then we'll take and, oops, wrong ones. Use the flat nose. That's what the flat nose look like. These are great. These are my favorite pliers. Bend it down. It seals it up. We're going to measure and make sure that we are centered at 5 inches. About like so. Slit it at 5 inches, just a hair more. All right, and then we'll start to bend to go around the cab. And I want it to be bending at 90 degrees this way. And so every once in a while you can see, and I use some, I use nylon pliers wherever I can. Here's some that I use pretty regularly because that will allow me not to scratch, because I'm not good about scratching things. I'll get those nice and even, and then we'll continue to shape it to the cabochon. We'll bring one set above, one set below, like that. Make sure it fits pretty good without being too tight. And then we'll decide that we need to bend it. And I go a little bit extra so that I make sure I can get the cab in afterwards. So we'll bend one here with the flat nose, and we'll gather those, and I'll bend another one here. It puts those kinks in there, and that's our joining point. We can reshape that a little bit later. We bring everything together like so. Nice and flat. And then we're going to do a little more wrap with the half round. I need about that much because I only need about 3 wraps, 2, 3, and then we'll come back through the middle like so. I'll pull on it with my flat pliers, make sure it's snugged up, push it down good and hard, and then we'll just snip it off right there, a little extra. And then we're ready to go. And I'm going to do in a few seconds, well, let me just put it this way. I'll show you how to wrap a bale in just a few seconds. Start by going like this, and the time hasn't started yet. We'll take the front 2 wires, separated from the others, bend the others out of the way, and we'll wrap them. And there you go. Now, if you're watching closely, it only took a few seconds for you, but if you were watching closely, because it took several minutes for me, you will have noticed that I messed up, and I got that wire I got it twisted half over for a little bit while I didn't notice. When you do that, it's a little bit challenging to get it worked out, but you can get it worked out because the stuff's soft. And then I come back in afterwards and flatten it all out just like we did on the bottom, and it makes it look pretty good. So we get it nice and flat, and if necessary we can straighten it out a little bit this way too. Your pliers are your friend. Okay, now we want to make a bale, and we'll just do this with we'll bring it down to around the front of these. We'll make it kind of like a light bulb shape. That's the best way I can think of it. So we want to kind of have it tipped this way and keep that kind of a little more open and round at the top. So we got kind of a lopsided light bulb shape, but I want to bring it around like so. And then these 2 guys just simply need to go around the front to lock it in. So I can use my round nose pliers, whatever you have, and kind of reshape it until you have the nice size kind of bale that you want. And there we go, no problem. Bend these guys out right at that point. And around the front. One will go down. Try to keep it straight so it doesn't take up too much room. One will go up, and we'll just cut them kind of flush to the side here so nothing pokes out. And that locks the back of the bale part to the front of the bale part. Now, here's where we can kind of have fun. You can do this a variety of ways. I'm going to do kind of the classic Oksana way. And Oksana Craft is the place to go to learn how to do this, because unlike here, you'll see a very skilled person who has a whole variety of patterns that she does. And she's very nice to listen to, very well thought out, no and us like I do. But this is her basic pattern that she uses for beginners. It's a beginner pattern. It's simple, but to me it's simple and luxurious. So I think I'm going to swoosh this just a little bit. That's, again, I like these nylon pliers because I'll never scratch the wire with them. Bring that over like that. I'm going to wrap this around, and it's going to make this all disappear. All this will just kind of disappear. We'll bring it all the way around, and I'm going to make sure that this is kind of wrapped that way a little bit, but bring it all the way and cover. And then we're going to nip those off and tuck them in. All right, so nip, nip, nip and tuck. Just bend that one down, tuck it in. There again, we don't want any sharp edges. We'll just push this second one in. Back behind there. And then we'll bring this little fancy thing a little more that way, and it gives a nice little decorative loop. That loop that you use to decorate, you can do it 10 different ways. You can do it taller, you can do it shorter, you can do multiples, whatever. However you like to see it. So just so you know, that's how you can do it. Okay, get these guys tucked back in there. Don't know why that expanded, but It's okay. Can always work them a little more. All right, now I'm going to take these next two, and I'm going to do a couple loops down here. Let's see. I love when you get a little sparkle out of the twisting of square wire. So we might as well do both. I think I'll do both on this one. Make a little more sparkle. Now remember, when you do twist wire like this, you are work hardening it. So instead of being soft copper, it's not going to be so soft anymore. It's going to be a little more stiff and a little more difficult to bend. It's still doable, but where I might bend two wires at the same time, now I'm just going to have to bend one to where I want and then follow it with the next one. I'm going to kind of use my finger right there like that and bring the other one to follow it. Maybe bring it down just a little bit and bring it around. It sounds like Rusty's home. And bring it around there. There's Rusty. Hey, Rusty. We're going to take a quick break, and I'll be right back. Okay, let's finish this. So these guys will do the same thing. They'll just wrap around, and we'll tuck them under there. And one more, and they do get pretty stiff once they've been twisted, but they're still workable. And that guy back there, nice and clean, nothing sticking out. And now we make the place for our stone. We'll start by making these back wires so the stone doesn't come through. A little off center there. Okay, and we're gonna do it by tweaking little notches. We'll just grab the back here, pull it in, just kind of twist and push it in. Try to be somewhat close to the same place. And make a little kind of an hourglass. If it's off a little, it doesn't matter. Go about that distance from the windings. Now the stone can't get through. Okay, I don't like this one over here. It's off just a little too much, so we'll fix it. And then we'll bring it back down. There, now they match up a little better. All right, now pop the stone in. Bring the front one around, the side one around. Sure, just pop the stone in. A little tight up here. That's okay, we'll get it. Gotta push it way up in there. Get it, there we go. Get the front one, the back one, or middle one. The middle one that holds it into the sides, like so. Come on, get up in there. What you crying for, Roz? Bring the bottom up. Bring that to the side. That holds the sides in. And then we'll bring the front out just a little bit. Now on the front, we're gonna go with our pliers about the same distance. I like it because I don't like covering too much of the stone. I'll kind of hold it over there to keep it round, and I actually bend it, instead of up, I bend it forward towards the front of the stone. And once we get it back here where we want it, we can do the same thing up at the top. I like that because it really locks in the stone, but doesn't cover the whole stone, so you can see it. And then you can kind of shape them around, make sure that we're in, make sure this is where it's supposed to be, like so. And we have our wrapped stone. Isn't that pretty? I think it's pretty. Now, I do several things that to finish them off. I use leather cord and make that for people because sometimes people prefer that. I also really like this chain that I got from also from Rio Grande, and it is a 3.1 millimeter. That's the size of the chain, pure copper, and it's a 20-foot spool, so I can get about 14 chains out of it. And I typically go the full length of my mat here, which is just a little bit over 17 inches, because I try to aim for about an 18-inch chain. So trim that off, and then I'll make ends for it. And here's how I make the ends for this guy. Somebody hooked it in here. It's probably me. All right, so I want a flat cut to begin with. And first we'll make the figure 8. Take my round nose pliers, and we'll go nice and easy and make a figure 8. Bring it all the way around, and then go back to there, and go back that way, and then we'll bring it all the way around this way. And then I have myself a little figure 8. What you doing, Roz? Silly boy. Then we'll cut it flush here. Okay. We will attempt to cut it flush there. And we have our ourselves a little figure 8 loop, and we'll make it nice and flat too. Got a little bit carried away on this one, just a little. Okay, there's our figure 8, and then I'll make a little hook. Start by making a just a little over 90-degree loop. Then I'll come back here. I should say 90-degree kink. And you can see the hook forming. I come down here below it. And basically I'm making another figure 8 down at the bottom. Bring it around. Make it the shape I want. And snip it off flush. All right, now this is soft wire, so I want to work harden it just a bit. And I'll do that. You can do it with any kind of hammer. Even a rawhide mallet works, but I've got a little... I have a little... Sure. I just have a little one of these and a little steel plate. It was my grandpa's machining steel plate. And I'll take those two pieces and I'll flatten them out just a little bit, but that work hardens them and makes them really good and tough. But also you'll see it expands them a little bit. Now you can do this with sandpaper. I happen to have a little tool that it's a little cup burr. They call it a cup burr, and it's the right size for this wire. So I can just twist, and it cuts those sharp edges off of where I cut it, and it makes it nice and smooth and round. You can also get them as bits for your Dremel or your Fordham. But that makes it, because you don't want it to catch on the skin of anything. You can also, like I said, you can take a little piece of sandpaper. Where'd he go? And this is just some 400 wet and dry, and it don't take very much. You just don't want it to be sharp against the skin. There we go. All right, and then we'll take and open up the loop on one end. close it up. And this one already has kind of an open loop. Probably just about right for that link to get through. Okay. And I'll make that a little more figure eight like. Clip it together, and this makes your hook part so that now you can just take that, snip it together, and you have a nice looking deal. All right, last step, finish. How do I finish this? Well, let me show you. Here's what I do. I got a little jar, and I put this in there, and I use Casey's Brass Black. Whether it's brass or copper, it makes an antique finish on it. I want to make sure I cover the whole thing, get it almost to the top, and then I can pop my chain in there too, and it'll finish going all the way to the top. Tip it if I little, and you can see in there, see that oxidation happening right on there? Isn't that cool? Take my pliers and a little rag after it gets dark enough, and it looks like it's plenty dark. Take this out. Got to get the drops off. And then take the chain out and get the drops off. And I'm going to go wash it, and I'll be right back. Alrighty. It does get your hand black a little bit. You can see my hand black, but it just wipes off. Once it's rinsed, it stops the action. Put that aside for now. Now, if I am doing a whole bunch of them at one time, I will keep my bluing here, and then I'll have a clear fresh water here so that I can do it. I just don't want to go overdone, only because when you do a lot on it, you get a lot of extra black in these cracks and crevices. All right, now just dry it off, and you can see it's got that oxidized copper look. And we're gonna make it look really cool in just a minute. I'll do the same with this chain. Get it nice and dry. And normally I'd let it get all completely air dry before I do the final step, but I think we'll be okay to do the final step. The final step is, this is your regular polishing rag for jewelry. It's impregnated with something that will cut through, a little abrasive, very fine abrasive, but actually leaves a polished finish. So we'll start with this, and what I want to do is I want to make the highlights highlighted. We'll bring them back to, parts of it back to their bright and shiny finish. See that? And that's where I like this. You get lots of good contrast with the finish. Then I'll make these come shiny. And actually, but when you get this, you will get it with a little one of these, just a little, like 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch square. It's the exact same thing. And every time you wear it, if you just rub it just a little bit over particularly areas that touch your skin, then it won't turn your skin funny colors, because copper does give off stuff that turns colors. It's kind of funny right there. We'll untweak this a little bit when we get it completely done. But all right, see how that brings out the copper in there? Yep, we're gonna have to do a little tweaking with our other one, but anyway, show you how it comes out, and then we'll do the same thing with this, and you'll see. Watch how much stuff comes off. Look at that. All that comes off with this chain. And I have pulled these chains apart by pulling them too much, but I just want to highlight the outside edges and the end pieces again. Get them back to shine a little bit and make it so that if you wear it, you don't get any of that oxidation on your skin, which I guess can turn your skin green. So you become like a Martian. I don't know, I'm colorblind. All right, this guy goes in here. This guy goes here. And it's a finished piece of jewelry. Fun. Try it yourself.